Costanoa County has been lacking in two key areas in its job creation pipeline: industrial expansion and higher education. On the industry front, Thelonious Pryce, the owner and operator of Pryce Mining, is looking to leverage the success of his business in order to expand the industrial capabilities of Costanoa, the city he has called home for his entire life. He sees great potential for the city, and while he values the rich history and culture in its downtown, he also wants for the city to realize its full potential. So he is purchasing some farmland in order to repurpose it and bring in new jobs via an industrial park. Meanwhile, Amélie Dubois has been hard at work to found the region's first higher education institution. After months of back and forth with the county government, she has finally secured funding to establish a regional community college in Baiemont. The one contingency she has is that the facility must also include a transit center to allow residents of Costanoa to more easily attend the college. So today we'll be taking these projects on as well as filling out some of the newer areas in Costanoa. Before I get building though, there are a few things that I do want to take care of. Firstly, I wanted to mention that I added a few visual mods to the build. These don't actually have an effect on the underlying game or how I will build, so it's basically still a vanilla build at this point, but hopefully these additions make the viewing experience a little bit better. Second, there was a new patch that just dropped, and there were a few changes to the way that citizen aging works, among a few other things. So I let the simulation run a bit off camera just to iron things out. The major thing I noticed is that my revenue went up by about 35,000 per hour. So we are back in the green, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on it because I will be placing a little bit of an additional infrastructure in this episode. So hopefully with the new industrial area, as well as filling out some residential and commercial around the county, there will be enough revenue to keep us in the green. And thirdly, I also wanted to rename two of the specialized industry areas that I placed last episode. The first is that ore mining area, which, as I mentioned in the intro, will be called Pryce Mining. And the second is that forestry area, which will be called Dubois Timber. And the next thing I want to do is a rather simple change, and we already have the land for it, so it's not going to require too much building on my end. And I want to go first here to this industrial area, and there's a few areas that I've noticed where we could add some additional industrial zoning. And this is one of the changes I added in, is the zone color changer. That's a mod that allows you to change the color of some of the zoning, so you can see that this industrial zoning is a little bit more transparent, so it can be a little bit more easy to see things. I may have to play with it a little bit more to see if I can get it to be a little bit better, but for now I'll just stick with what I got. So first I want to go probably right in this area and add in some industrial zoning. I think I want to stay off of probably Willow Street right here, so I'd rather front it towards Summit Street if I can. That'll do there. And then the other two areas I want to look at are first right here on Briarwood Street. I don't really see a reason that we couldn't just add in a few more industrial facilities there. And then lastly, if I hop over to this other side as well, there's some space here too that I think I could make use of. Additionally, I think I could go even one further, and I'm gonna need a lot of industrial space, so I think I will do this and just add some additional roads right here and then zone out this waterfront area right here. And with that expansion done, the next thing I want to do is go over to this area right here. And I noticed something earlier, is that for some reason there's a dirt road right here. And I may have mentioned this before, that I wanted to fix that, but now I will definitely get that fixed. And then we can move over to this farm right here, which is where I want to add in our new industrial zone. This is kind of an interesting area to work with, and I think it's going to require at least two connections in, and I'm pretty sure that's all I'll be able to get. So that first connection is going to be one that already exists right here. The second connection is going to be a new one, in that we're going to be bringing in this street right here, Forest Street, over and then all the way through here, and it's going to connect right here and then continue this way. I will not be making a connection into the highway right here. I'd rather have that be maintained as free flow all the way through here without an intersection. The other thing I'll have to be aware of is that we do have these power lines right here, and I may have to either move those or consider something else to do with those. But the first thing I will have to do is I'm just gonna delete this farm area right here. It served us well. Then I'm gonna delete this small road right here. So this is the roadway setup I went with. It's not perfect by any means. There's a pretty big cul-de-sac right here, including Franklin Street, Madison Street, and the end of Valley Street here. For an industrial area, I don't think that's too concerning. This will primarily just be freight traffic. These intersections I am somewhat concerned about, but as you can see, there's not a whole lot of traffic going on there right now, so I think it's okay. So what I'll do now is I'm just gonna pretty much mass zone this as industrial for now, and maybe put in a few parking lots. I wanted to add in a nice park here by the entrance because it's kind of an awkward space and it's close to the water, so I didn't want to add too many industrial buildings. And also the people who work here can now use this facility on their time off, and I put a small urban pocket park which has some seating as well right there. And that's the extent that I want to build out this particular industrial area. At the end there, I was just adding in a few trees by the highway just to shield it a little bit visually. And then I added some smaller trees underneath those power lines. What I want to do next is address something that has been a bit of an issue in Costanoa before, and that's the disaster response. So in order to have a proper disaster response unit, I'm gonna have to put in a fire station. The issue is twofold here. I actually don't have a fire station unlocked, so that's the first thing I'll do. I'm definitely gonna need that. The other thing I'm gonna want also is fire watch towers, just because I've unlocked a lot of new land. The fire stations have those disaster response units. You can see it in the description right there. It can be upgraded with an extended garage, training facility, disaster response unit, and a helipad. So I'm going to want to put one of these in. The second issue that I see is that, we only have $1,194,000, but we need, I think, 2.15 million to purchase this. So what I probably will have to do is take out, I think it's going to be at least $1 million in loans and potentially a little bit more to continue doing other projects. The thing I want to look at though is the monthly cost of this, which is $51,579. And if I take a look at our budget, we definitely have enough monthly balance to support that. And now that I'm looking at this too, this is a lot higher than I realized it was. And I think this is part of just the patch doing its work. I'm not exactly sure what's causing the monthly balance to go up that significantly. It looks like we have just a ton of taxes now. It could have been a reduction in expenses as well. So I'm not exactly sure what is contributing to that. It looks like we have a ton of just tax overall. One thing I think I will actually do though is, because our income is so high, I'm just going to lower all these down just 1% everywhere. And that, let's see, that puts us at 631,000. So still enough headroom, and we should be able to afford both that loan as well as the monthly upkeep on that fire station. So let's take this $1 million loan out, and then let me go find the place that I actually want to put this in. So you'll notice just like by looking at the info view here, this particular area, at least in Costanoa, is a little bit underserved. And then as well as our industrial areas over here, that's a separate concern that I'll consider later. But I think what I want to do now is probably focus on this area for one major reason, which is that there's just additional land here that's available, so I can plop in that fire station asset. It is a fairly large asset. If we zoom in here, you can see that the fire station, it's fairly large. We do have a decent amount of flat land here, so where I'm going to put this actually is right in here. The problem is that the city limits are being exceeded, so we are going to need to unlock this tile, which is another thing I've actually been wanting to do as well, is unlock this tile, because I've had this area right here that's just kind of been a little bit awkward in terms of the roadway layout. It just kind of ends right here, so I want to continue that on, and probably not this episode, but in a later episode I'll finish out this area. For now, I think I'm just going to continue the grid out right here and then put in that fire station. And I still don't have enough money, so I'll have to take out, I think, an additional 100,000 in loans. Let's just quickly check our budget. We still have plenty of overhead. I'll just check back in really quick, actually. So we're at 600,000 right now. After I place this fire station, I will be interested in what we will land at. So it pretty much instantly drops us by 200,000 per month, it looks like. A little bit more, actually. 300,000 is continuing to go down. So I think that'll probably stabilize. Yeah, it looks like it's stabilizing there. So about 300,000 per month is what that is costing us. I think a monthly balance of positive 300,000 is pretty good. I'm satisfied with that. We should be able to accrue enough money to continue doing other things in this episode. And with that fire station down, I am noticing actually something that I do want to change, which is I click here and look at the disaster response unit. That's something I would want to add in for sure, but it just does not fit into this particular block. It is such a large block, but still it does not fit. So the change that I think I want to make is I want to sever Lindbergh Street actually right here. So I'll break up the grid right there. And then I think I'm going to reorient the fire station a little bit so that it's facing towards Washington Street. I just think that's a little bit easier in terms of getting to other places in the city, because Washington Street connects directly into Market Street, which is a major road in the area. The other reason is that Lindbergh Street right here, I'm okay with severing the connection right here because it doesn't actually go all the way through yet. So I'm not too concerned with it also not going through on this side. So that'll definitely reduce the amount of traffic that's traveling through Lindbergh Street. And I already can tell that I'm going to need quite a bit more money. So I have to take out some additional loans. One for that disaster response unit, and two because I have to move this thing. So I'll take out probably just 300,000. That hopefully suffices. And then we'll get this thing moved, and I want to face it right here. Not enough money. Okay, so that costs a ton of money to do. So let me look at how I can maybe solve that. And really, there's not actually a good way for me to do that. So I'm going to do something that I do not like to do, which is take out a load more of loans, and then I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to force it in there. I didn't want to have to do that, but that should be okay. We're already taking out a ton of loans, so we're going to have to deal with it at some point anyways. So I'll base it there. It's exactly what I wanted it to look like. And then I'm just going to start placing two things. So one, I want the helipad because we have a lot of forest around us, and especially that new forestry industry that we built last episode. I think that's going to need some additional help in terms of helicopter coverage. And you can see now we actually have a forest fire. So let me place that right now, and I'm interested to see where that is. So if you click here on show disaster location, it'll show where it is. And it's just this one tree, it looks like. So if we zoom out, not that close. So won't be a problem for us. So if I go back in here, I've got that helipad in there now, and what I want to add now is the disaster response unit, and I think where I will add that is right over here, I believe. Yeah, and I put it right there. If we kind of zoom in, take a look, I think it makes sense facing out towards the fire station as it is. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to fill out the rest of this space. So we have this alley that's coming through. I think I will just continue that. For now, I think I'm just going to leave this area as is. And one more thing I actually will do is I'll extend this road through. But yeah, I'll leave this area as is right now. It has all the functionality that I wanted it to have. The next thing I'll do is I will place down a few fire watchtowers, and in particular around that new industry area we have right here. So I think it would make sense to actually just have one right next to this forestry industry. We'll put it right there. The reason I put it there is just it's kind of on the end of this fake road that I have here, which is just a surface, but it seems to make sense, and it looks like it needs some form of power, so that's kind of an odd one, but I guess it maybe normally is on a road. What I'll do is I'm just going to place a cable probably underneath the ground and bring it over to here, just because I don't really, I don't really want to have above ground power lines for this. It's just kind of weird. I don't even think it should need power, but I'll play the game as it wants me to play it. So I'll bring this in kind of again on our fake roadway network here that I've got set up. I'm just going to go all the way over here. And there it is. It's fine now. I don't know exactly if I check this out. Yeah, because it does a decent amount of fire coverage, and it covers like this whole area. I think it may make sense to also have one by this mine right here. And then I will do the same thing with the power. This one's just going to have to be a little bit more awkward. I'll bring it around the mining area and just bring it straight in here. So I think that's a good amount of coverage right there. The only other area I think I wanted to check out was right over here. I don't know that a fire watchtower necessarily makes sense right here. I could put one. So the reason I'm thinking about not putting one is it just kind of encroaches a little bit on the Dodge estate, and I'm not sure that I really want that. And I think it just might intrude on Garrison Dodge's privacy, which is something that he is looking to maintain. So I'm going to refrain from putting one here. The final thing I want to do on the fire side of things is, I talked a little bit about this in the last episode, but I do want to make sure that the fire stations that I have now that are just small ones are only covering the operating districts that are local to it. So it's no longer going to cover this unincorporated area. Yeah, so it's no longer covering that. The other thing I want to do too, while I'm here and I've remembered it, extend that out. And then I'll go over to Baiemont and I will do the same thing with their fire station. And it's no longer covering the unincorporated area. So that's going to be the responsibility of this particular fire station, which I will rename to CCFD headquarters. So it's Costanoa County Fire Department headquarters. And then over here, I will rename this one to Costanoa. And the same thing right here, CCFD Baiemont. So that will definitely give us a lot better fire coverage across the county. And that's something I plan to do in the future as well for the other services such as healthcare and police, is I will add in a larger facility that will act as the county facility or the headquarters, and that'll cover everything. And then I'll make smaller stations and facilities cover only their local area. And with that done, I can see now that our monthly balance is going to be pretty low. And I mentioned earlier I lowered those taxes. I'm actually just going to raise those back up because we'll probably need that income. The reason being that we are going to be adding in another pretty major asset, which is that college down in Baiemont. The thing I'll have to do for that is also unlock colleges. So there's a lot that I haven't unlocked yet, but that's just because I'm playing slowly. I want to check out how much that college will cost. And I think I just want to place the regular college, which has a capacity of 10,000, costs 750,000. So this will definitely be very expensive. We're probably gonna have to take out more loans. What I want to do before I place that though, is I'm gonna start zoning a little bit more in downtown Baiemont over here. The reason for that is I just want to have it a little bit more prepped and a little bit more built out in preparation for this college going in. And it looks like we're gonna run into a similar issue that we've been having, which is the medium density demand is just not high enough to justify this much medium density. So I'm gonna have to call a bit of an audible, and what I'll do is I'm gonna put in that new college as well as the transit center that I want to put in next to it. And the hope there is that it just drives a lot of demand, not only for this area, but hopefully the whole county in general. The place that I am looking to put in that college is right here, and I'll show you actually the reason for that. So yeah, right in here, and that's because the topography is favorable for it. It's also close to our downtown right here. And then there's another flat pad right here, which is where I'd like to put in the bus transit center. I want to put the bus station as close as I can to this pedestrian area, and I think the best place I can do that really is right here, so that it has close proximity to both that and the college that will be over here. So before I place this asset, I want to get a sense of its scale and where it might fit in nicely. And I'm looking at this particular ravine right here, so I think I want to place it kind of close to that, but not encroach too much on it, so we can at least maintain some of that ravine from like natural perspective. I think I will probably have it come off of this street, Hemlock Street. Will probably just come straight through and connect in somewhat like this, I think, in this sort of an orientation. What I'll have to do is probably a bit of grading up front, and I think I'm going to choose likely this contour line right here. The other thing I'm going to need is a heck of a lot more money. So I'm just going to have to take out a lot more loans, which is somewhat painful since we've already taken out 2 million and it's going to be hard to pay that back. But again, I want to get this in, so probably have to take close to, let's try 600,000. I think that should be enough for what I need. So I am gonna go ahead and get that placed in right away. And I really only have one shot for that, so hopefully this works out. It might need a little bit of a change in the direction of this road just so it hits these parking lots, but I am okay with that. So I won't do any of the detailing right here yet. What I will do instead is I'm going to place down this bus transit center, which is going to go right here. I want to get that in just so we have a good connection from Baiemont all the way back to Costanoa and vice versa, because I think it's pretty unreasonable to have these two cities in the county be so far away but then not have any transit access. I thought about putting in trams, but I think that's just too large of a project considering the size of both of these areas. If both areas were probably the size of maybe Costanoa, I would consider it, but this one's still small starting out, so what I'll do is I'll just put in a bus station, and like I said, I'll put that in right around here, and I want to make sure I have dedicated access for the buses themselves, and I'll use these one-way transit lanes to do that. So first what I'll do is I want to place this small bus station. We won't need a larger one. And I want to make sure that's like nice and close up here. And I think right in, basically it should be touching this pedestrian road right here. So something like that. And I hope that's good enough. Up next, I'll go right here and I'm going to place down one of these one-way roads and then just connect it in like this. The nice thing about these pedestrian areas, and I've mentioned this before, these pedestrian roads, is that you don't really have to worry so much about the junctions because people are just walking on them. So these funky junctions don't really matter so much here. Connection I want to make back in is going to be kind of an interesting one. So I want to go basically from the center of this. It's going to be kind of hard with all the snapping on. So I want to go kind of the center of this lane, take it out like this. And then what I'll do is I'll just swing it back in here. So what this will allow is for buses to come into Baiemont like this, go right off, go into the bus station, drop off their passengers, come out, and then come out this way on Garnett Street. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on there with the road not saying it's connected. a little bit concerned that it's going to try to make me move this facility or something, which I've had that happen before. It's going to cost me a bit of money, which is really my biggest concern. It says it's not connected right there. So let me try to redo this road. I'm running out of the money I just took the loan for. Okay, and unfortunately I did have to take out another loan just to get this bus station in. I had to delete it and place another one. So right now we are 2.8 million in the hole, and that hopefully is as far as we'll go this episode. And again, it is lacking water and sewage, and I wonder if that is just the roads. I think maybe a simpler solution. Yeah, it looks like it's the roads, and this is truly my fault that I have done this so many times. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get the water and sewage in here, though. I'm a little bit concerned about that, because it doesn't even have any sort of connection. All right, and pretty strange what I had to do there. So I guess these taxi and bus lanes don't carry water and sewer, so I had to replace part of it with a one-way alley and then connect up the water under the road. And already you can see what looks like probably taxis coming in here to pick people up. Well, that's a minivan. So for some reason they're just totally ignoring what's going on there and parking in front of here. I don't like that one bit. Okay, so in order to get rid of the parking, I had to actually convert this into a pedestrian street. I have no idea if that's actually going to work. I may actually do the same right here and convert this one piece into a pedestrian street as well. I think the buses should still be able to go on that. I suppose the advantage too now is that people can walk a little bit more easily to it. The other thing I want to do is let's make sure that get rid of the crosswalks right there and right there. I don't really want people crossing in those two areas. It's okay to cross right there, but not across the street right there. And then I'll probably just make a small path network connecting things up around here. And that should do. Again, I will be doing the detailing later, so I'll leave that. But I do want to make sure that I am getting in a bus route here. So let me get all the way back over to Costanoa here, and specifically to this bus depot. I want to check. Yeah, we have 12 of 25 vehicles in use. And let me just get a view of what we have going on in terms of our bus lines. So we're getting a lot more usage out of lines 1 and 2. The third line's still not seeing much use, but if I recall correctly, I think this was just a line primarily for students to get to this high school right here. And then it hops down here over to this elementary school. So it's really more of a school-focused line. So I'm not too concerned with that being a little bit less used. And I think with the addition of our regional line over to Baiemont, I think maybe that could change things. So I think, yeah, I really want this to just be a fairly straightforward line here. So if I go over here, I actually just want it to ping back and forth for the most part and maybe hit 2 key spots in downtown Costanoa. So if we go here to our bus line tool, I will bring one into one of our bus terminals right here. I'll just go into that one, first one, and then back over. And there's, yeah, like I said, there's 2 places that I'll probably want to make sure I hit. I guess one will be right here on the way in. And then it might make sense to get a little bit deeper into town. Yeah, so actually I'm gonna go back on that particular one. And instead we'll go into this transit node right here. And then from there, it's actually, I think we'll just turn around. We'll go right, turn, right, turn, right, turn over to here. And then take a left back onto Market Street, hopefully right there. And I'll bring it back in on the other side. Okay, so I want to make sure that that line makes sense in terms of what it's doing. So it's going around that roundabout this way and taking the highway over here. And then it should just be, yeah, going straight onto Market. It does not, so it skips over these two stops right here. It may as well honestly hit this one on the way in. I don't see a reason for it not to. Yeah, and we'll just do it on the way in, not on the way out. So if people just want to stop right here, they can do that. They can also stop there. So it'll hit 2 spots and then it just comes back around and out the other way. And let's make sure we don't have so many buses on there. It has 9 right now. We definitely don't need so many. We'll go back down to 4 and then make the ticket price, I believe, 2. I'll double check to make sure that the other lines are 2. Yeah, so our ticket price is $2. So we'll let that simulate for a while, I think. And I want to let things kind of settle down a little bit. We do have a little bit more demand. So let me actually make sure I'm continuing to kind of saturate that demand over here in Baiemont. And it looks like we once again met all that demand. And I tried to go a little bit out here too, just because we have these buildings sitting here and I want to make sure they had stuff next to them starting to build out. And because we've got those buildings in now, and things will continue to build out in Baiemont as our demand rebounds a little bit. And you can see it already going here right now. The medium density's ticking up just a little bit. But in the meantime, what I'll do is there's another bus route that I wanted to add into Baiemont. This bus route is, I think, unfortunately going to be really expensive. Maybe not in the game, but realistically, getting the buses all the way over here to Baiemont from our bus depot, which is all the way over here, is going to be super costly. It's not the case as much for the other route because it begins in Costanoa, but this one is really just going to be a circulator route in Baiemont. So it's only going to be self-contained within Baiemont. But for now, that's going to be cheaper than placing in, say, another entire bus depot over here. Like that would be, in the long run, probably something we might do. But for now, it doesn't make sense to have that right here just because it'll be less expensive to just send these buses over here. So what I'll do is I'm going to add in a few bus shelters and I'll make these EU bus shelters. It might not make much of a difference, but I'll do it anyways. And let me show you why I just put it on that specific side and in that direction. So I'll come back in here and I'll put in another route right here, start it there, and then I'll go this way, up this way. I'll go around this way. And the reason I'm going like this particular direction is that it includes mostly right turns. So we come out here, we go straight onto this road, go here, and then we take a right here, a right here, a right down here. And then what I'll do is I'm actually going to bring the bus this way. We'll make a left right here, and we'll make a left right here and come back in. So we only have to use 2 lefts in this entire route. If I went the other way, it would have been, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then I think 4 to get back on this road. So it'd be 4 left-hand turns instead of 2. And left-hand turns are, in general, a lot more dangerous than right-hand turns. And you have the same thing happen with like delivery vans. Oh my goodness, that bus did not do what I wanted it to do. Let me change that really quick. Yeah, so I just did change that bus right there, so it's not making the left right there. But yeah, for delivery vans, you have a similar thing like FedEx and USPS and other services will have their drivers prioritize taking right turns over left turns. So I would assume they have algorithms that determine the routes that drivers take, and they will prioritize those left-hand turns, they'll prioritize those right-hand turns because they are safer. And in the long run, that will be cheaper for the company because that liability is reduced. And once again, our medium density has rebounded a little bit. I'm also noticing I placed the wrong type of office right there. So let me go back on that, put that in there instead. And I'll go ahead and add some more of that French mixed use and residential. And once again, we've saturated that medium density demand. So I'll turn my efforts elsewhere. And what I want to do is finish out this college area right here. The first thing I'll do there is I want to consider the continuation of this roadway network. So I'll bring this street right here, Grove Street, out a bit. And if I take a look at our topography up here, it's favorable to do kind of whatever we want. So I'm just going to send this straight up out here. And then down here, I want to make sure I'm connecting in somewhere else. So I think probably this one is where I'll connect in. I think I want to maybe do something kind of interesting with the grid right here. So I'll just bring this straight out at a 90. And then I'll kind of change the grid according to this street. Over here, I actually also want to put a roundabout in just because it's a bit of an awkward junction. And I think I will just leave it right there for now. I don't want to go too crazy in this area. I just want to make sure I have some sort of a new grid forming over here and have an idea of where I'll go in the future. Next, I'll focus back in on this particular area right here and give it a little bit of extra detail. I want to add in a few more paths and probably some parks in here just to draw in more people. And I don't know that I'd consider it minor detailing because it took a while, but it wasn't really all that much. Most of it was just adding in trees and then surfaces here and there. The thing that took the longest was probably this right here. I just wanted to make like a little kind of food market thing here. So if you were gonna maybe wait for the bus or something, or maybe you wanted to stop over here before going to class, if you go to the college over here, then you could do that. Right in here, I just wanted to make it feel a little bit more cohesive. So I added in a small pocket park here, and then a kiosk, which won't really do anything, but is really more there for aesthetic purposes. And then I'm noticing that the buses are using this, so this pedestrian street trick that I used is working out well. I also like that it kind of integrates well with the surrounding pedestrians right here. I do want to check now that we've had our buses going for a while, what the overall usage is. Okay, so CMTA 4 is getting a huge amount of usage, which is awesome. And then also, I'm noticing too that CMTA 1 and 2 are also getting a bunch of usage, and CMTA 3 also increased quite a bit. So I'm very satisfied with that. The one that's not getting really any use is CMTA 5, which is our circulator route, which is just kind of pinging around Baiemont right now. That does make sense though. If you kind of look at Baiemont as it stands right now, it's really not set up to have a circulator route because we really only have like a couple of people living over here, and almost everyone's going to be living in this particular area. So they'll all just walk to the bus station most likely. And since I now have some of that medium-density zoning back, what I want to do is I actually want to fill out this corner right here, just so we have this particular area filled out a little bit better. So I'll add in what I've been adding in, which is a lot of this French mixed-use housing. And that's probably the extent of what we'll zone in right now. All of this is zoned, but it's probably not going to actually come in at the moment. And I will just add a little bit over here as well and finish off that zoning. There is something that I am noticing that I've been doing, which is I've actually really only been adding this French medium density housing, which is going to be a lot bigger than these medium density row houses. I think I'm just going to continue using that on at least these 2 blocks right here. And once I get back here, I'll probably go to the smaller row homes back here. What I'll do now is I'm just going to add in a little bit more zoning in this area, and I'll probably go for that lower density residential and just fill out a few spaces that I know will be that particular zoning type. And then I think I'll let things simulate for a little bit just so I can accrue a bit more money, but also let the citizens move into these new homes. Okay, so I let things simulate out for a bit, and most of these homes have grown in, it looks like. I think I am going to leave Baiemont here for now. It is going to be a little bit of a process to get it to where I want it to be, but I do think it's okay to spend a little bit more time here because I do want the downtown here to be a cornerstone piece of the region. Before I end things off for this episode though, there's one thing that I noticed earlier that I have to do, which is I need to come over here and fix something at the landfill, which is that I've been emptying for a very long time, and right now it's completely empty. So I need to stop emptying so that the garbage trucks can start being used again. Like you can see there's 0 out of 20 in use. And that is causing a few garbage issues around the city, particularly at these farms, it looks like. So hopefully with those additional trucks being used, yeah, we already have 5 in use. So hopefully that resolves this particular issue of seeing some garbage piling up. That is going to do it for this episode though. As a quick recap, we did 2 main things. One of those was working on the new industrial park in Costanoa, and the other was working on a college and transit center in Baiemont. I really enjoyed making both of these builds, and I hope you enjoyed watching it as well. Of course, there is a lot to be done in Baiemont still, but I do like the direction things are going, and I'm liking how the French assets are filling in. As always, I appreciate any and all feedback that you all have, but that's going to do it for this one, and I will see you in the next one.